Church, I'm so thankful this morning to be able to introduce to you and turn my pulpit over for just a little bit to Steve Holly. Come on, let's put our hands.
His mic ain't on.
Look, you're gonna have to, that's all that's best I can do. You know, I've been for 6 weeks trying to decide what I was going to say when I got up here. And it's not going to be real easy because he said not to glorify sin too much, but for 54 years, that's basically all I knew. I was one that ran from God for a long time. And he chased me. And finally, in February 2009, he caught me. And believe me, he's got me now. If I didn't take anything to drink in the last month or smoke any cigarettes, I can just about rest assured I'll never do that again. So I started smoking cigarettes and drinking when I was 11, maybe 12 years old. Me and my older brother used to stash our cigarettes in a bush at the corner. And we went to get the cigarettes one day and they weren't there. But there was a bottle of whiskey. So we took the bottle of whiskey to the other end of the street. This is on a Wednesday night, and on Friday, me and him and 2 other guys were drinking a bottle of whiskey. And I fell in love with whiskey. By the time I was, I'd say 13, you know, I did all right up until the 7th grade. In school, I made pretty decent grades, but then I just started, I just got to where all I was thinking about was what I was going to do on Friday night. And so, basically, I went to the 8th grade 3 times. I went through 1 year and failed. I went to summer school, failed summer school, went back to the 8th grade. And one of the reasons that I didn't make it through is because I refused to get up in front of the class and give a book report. So, I mean, that's if I can't do that in front of 27 people, you can imagine how much fun this is. So, but by the time I was 15, I was hooked. And my parents got divorced when I was young. They'd been having problems for a while. And after that, Mom went back to work. She got real sick. Now, part of this story is I've watched all my life, I've watched somebody suffer. My grandfather the only grandfather I knew, was paralyzed from his neck down. He couldn't move anything but his arms. And he died about 2 weeks before I was 15. Then when I turned 16, my mother got real sick. She was in a hospital and I can't even tell you how long she was in there. She was in there at least a year. She was in one of them little tents for 9 months because she had an aneurysm in her brain. And it had gotten so bad that they couldn't operate on it. Because she had let it go for so long that it had tightened the muscles up and if they would, I don't know, I was just a young kid, so I don't really know all that brain surgery stuff, but I know that she was real sick. And she came out of the hospital, and when she got out, but while she was in the hospital, I was the only one there to take care of my little brother and little sister. Because my dad had to work, and my older brother he was gone, hitchhiking around the country. And I really, then, my dad would bring money over for me to get groceries to feed us, and I'd go down to the store and I'd make sure I had enough money to get me some beer. Because all that, I got up in the morning, get ready to go to school, got them ready to go to school, and went to school myself. Came home, washed their clothes, fed them, and all that stuff. Then Mom came home from the hospital, and she was paralyzed. She had a massive stroke. She was blind in her left eye, couldn't hear out of her left ear, and had no feeling in her left leg and her left arm. But she still got up every morning and cleaned the house. Cooked for us, cleaned up, so I got to where I could go out every once in a while. I had been in a lot of trouble with just the juvenile authorities. Thank God that I had relatives that were connected to juvenile court. And finally, when I was 17, I got in a little bit too much trouble. I shot a little foreign exchange student's head through a window. And they sent me, needless to say, I got stayed up there on juvenile court for about 6 or 7 days. And they finally told me that they would let me out, and I could either go to a military jail till I was 21, or I could go into the military. And this was in the latter part of 1972. And fighting in Vietnam was still going on real good. So I decided that I was going to go to Vietnam. I wasn't going to jail. And my dad said that we could go the next week. I got out of jail, so we're going to go into Army recruiter and let you sign up and say, I'm going to the Army. I'm joining the Marines, dude. If I'm going to go fight a war, I'm going to go with the best. He said, nah. He said, you ain't got what it takes. I don't think you got what it takes. I said, well, you know what it takes to go to jail either, but if you don't let me go in the Marines, I'm going to jail. But see, since I was 17, they said that I had to have both parents to sign the papers to go in. Well, we found out that since my parents were divorced, just my mother could sign. So she signed and I went. She had 2 brothers that served in World War II as Marines. So, she figured I had what it took. And I was determined that I was going to prove to that man that I had what it took. And I did it.
Amen.
And 6 months, I went in January of 73, and by August, I got to Kansas, North Carolina, and got busted with one joint of marijuana. They gave me and another guy 90 days in the North Carolina State Prison System. I went to a youth center in Lillington, stayed there for 2 months, I think. And then the Marines let me come back. And I went back and stayed. When I got back, there was a bunch of people taking acid, so I thought I would try some of that. And that was better than alcohol. And I did it so much that I finally got an infection, and the infection caused my hands to swell and my feet to swell, and they gave me a shot of penicillin and sent me straight back to work. They didn't want to hear that, because they was trying to get us off dope anyway. Marines didn't do drugs back in the 70s. But, I finally quit doing that. But I was drinking a lot, smoking a lot of weed, and just causing all kind of trouble. Because that's all I knew how to do. I've been fighting, getting drunk fighting all my life. The reason I got drunk, I had to go into race because I like to get drunk and fight. So I got into it one time with this old corporal, and he didn't really like me anyway. So. And now that I think of it, I think that first month I was in, they had me in solitary confinement. I was in a one-man cell by myself. The only thing I could see was the brick wall across from me. The guy in the cell on the right of me was waiting to go to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. He had 25 years to life for second-degree murder. The guy on the other side, he was waiting to go to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas for life. He had one premeditated murder charge, 3. He had all kinds of charges on him. I mean, these guys were violent criminals. It took when they tried to subdue me to get me in the back of that MP truck. It took 6 of them to get me in there because I wasn't going. And we've been drinking whiskey all night. I couldn't feel him hitting me. I didn't quit fighting until that man put that 45 caliber pistol upside my head. He said, "If you move again, I'm going to shoot you." I said, "Okay, I'll be still." And I stayed in the brig for 3 months. They finally let me out of there, and out of solitary confinement, I went into the brig to the main population, worked in the kitchen cooking pancakes, and appointed me a lawyer. My battalion commander, at one time they had made us go through a drug rehab, and the guy that was, I don't know, this was some kind of joke. I mean, the Marines back in the 70s, if you was on dope, the guy asked us what kind of fruit we wanted to be when we went to the first meeting, and I went to the battalion commander, "I don't want to go anymore." So he didn't like me. And he wanted to give me 2 years in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, and a bad conduct discharge. They appointed me a lawyer. The lawyer just happened to be from Memphis, Tennessee, and the lawyer just happened to have dated one of my cousins. So he talked to the battalion commander, let me cop and plea, basically. Pled guilty, but see now, I still believe it was a conspiracy to get me out, but that doesn't matter. They let me out with an honorable discharge. I got out of there, still drinking a lot, smoking a lot of pot, and I got out in December '75, and soon after that I got my first DWI. And thanks to family members, I got out of that pretty good because my aunt was in real good with the judge that I went up in front of. 3 months later, I got another DWI and was on probation for the first one. I paid my lawyer and they dismissed the DWI charge for reckless driving, striking a fixed object, and all that stuff. And they sentenced me to 11 months, 29 days at the penal farm for violating probation. I stayed there for 2 months, and they let me out. And then when I was dating my first wife at the time. And so when they let me out, I went for 7 years without drinking. But I used a lot of you older folks know what quaaludes are. I ate a whole bunch of them, smoked a whole bunch of marijuana. That's probably why I got emphysema now in marijuana. But we got married, had 2 kids, one of them was right there. And finally, one day, I just decided I wasn't going to be controlled anymore. I wanted to drink to get drunk. I had my own company. I worked 7 days a week from sun up to sundown. I decided I was going to drink a beer. That was all it took. This is why I know now that I can't drink one beer, because if I drink one beer, I'm going to be right back to where I was in February of 2009. I've been an alcoholic since the day I was born. just didn't realize until I got that first shot of whiskey. And so, and we split up. We went our separate ways. And, I started, I really, from then on, this was in, I don't even know, it was 86. 87, my daughter was 3 or 4, my son was, I'm going to say 86, because my son just turned 6 when I left. And from there on, the drinking we drove me farther away. And I didn't see my kid, this is the hard part. See, I walked out, my wife and 2 kids. And it really hurt. And, that's why I did all the drinking. I had to have something to kill the pain.
Amen.
And I got introduced to cocaine. And I just started out slowly. And then I just snorted cocaine for a while. I found meth. And I found out that where I was spending $300 a week on snorting cocaine, for $80 I could stay high on meth all week. But then the guy I was getting it from got busted, so I had to go back to snorting cocaine. And then I got introduced to crack cocaine. And that was all it took. I smoked crack for almost 20 years. Let's see. My parents died. I got married the second time, but that didn't work out at all. The woman was not who I thought she was. Got her alone, it was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. She needed to be on medicine instead of me. But like I said, the parents died, and after my parents died, me and the 2 brothers moved into the house that my dad worked all his life for. And when he finally died in January 1996. And we lived in that house, we didn't pay any taxes. And then finally, we paid taxes once, I think, just to keep from getting thrown out. And finally, they sold the house, but for some reason we managed to be able to keep staying there for at least a year, and they came and they cut the utilities off. I learned how to cut the utilities back on because they cut the wire. And so I got me some electrical tape, and I went out there and turned it back on. But we couldn't cook because we had a gas stove. So all we had to cook on was the barbecue grill. My older brother could make a cake on a barbecue grill. But one of the guys, our house was a crack house. One of the guys that used to smoke with us lived right down the street. And when they send you your utility bill, see, we wasn't getting a utility bill anymore because nobody's supposed to be living in our house, I guess. But when he get his utility bill, they tell us on there when they're going to come read your meter. So on the day they're supposed to come read the meter, I went out there and cut it off in the morning, and then in the evening, I went there and cut it right back on. And they took the water meter from the outside. The only way we had to get water was we had a bunch of 5-gallon paint buckets. We lined them along the back of the house, and it was right where the water came off when it rained. And that's the only water we had to bathe and wash clothes and stuff like that. To get drinking water, we had a couple of big 5-gallon jugs, and when the neighbors go to work, we go get water out their faucet. But finally, February the 6th of 2009, Shelby County Sheriff came and threw me and my 2 brothers out of my daddy's house. Memphis Union Mission, I went. Me and my older brother went to the mission, and Rick stayed out. And most of you know Rick, but he didn't come with us. Went through the program, and I knew when I walked into mission that I was in the right place, because like Pastor Jim said, they got all them Bible verses all up over the wall everywhere. And see, I had known for a long time what I needed. And it wasn't Alcoholics Anonymous. It wasn't some support group. I needed Jesus to come take over in my life. I had a Bible sitting right there, right beside my bed. And I'd look at it, but I never picked it up. I came now, go back a little bit before they came into us at the house. My good friend Janet here got Pastor Jim. Let's come do some work in his yard a couple of years. And then when they started moving into this church, we helped them get to it. Get the church ready to move in. So when I got to the mission, got the program, and they told me that I was going to become church here. I mean, that was the greatest thing I ever heard in my life. But I came here, and in April 19, 2009, I gave my life to Jesus Christ. While I was in the program, and the Lord has helped me accomplish quite a few of those goals. After I graduated, I worked for about a year. But I decided then that I could smoke one cigarette. I quit smoking for a year, a little over a year. I decided to smoke one cigarette. And it was, that was just like drinking that one beer. I was smoking more. I went from smoking 2 packs of cigarettes to smoking 3. And so I used patches for a while, and I'd quit for a while and start back smoking, and I kept saying, God, you have got to help me get off these cigarettes, because I've got emphysema, and I have serious heart problems and all kind of stuff. But I just couldn't quit until September the 3rd, 2011. I came home from work, and I walked in the door there at 600 Poplar, and I couldn't breathe. And I called to the supervisor, told him to call an ambulance. I remember the ambulance coming. I remember bringing that gurney in there. The next thing I knew, they was pulling the tube out of my throat. I was laying in intensive care hospital, at the Elvis Preston Trauma Center. They told me that I wasn't supposed to live. But my God had a different idea. That's why my faith is so strong now. The reason I'm here today, I wanted both of my children to be here to hear this. But due to circumstances that are out of anyone's control, my son couldn't be here. I hadn't seen my son in 26 years. One night, my daughter, one night we were sitting at the house, and knocked came at the door, and I went to the door, and this pretty little girl was standing there. I looked at her and said, "Can I help you?" She said, "I'm Christy." And I hadn't seen my daughter in 18 years. I didn't know who the little girl was. But she came around a little bit, and then she met up with the father of Hirsch, my 3rd grandchild. And I didn't see her for a while, but then on March the 2nd of this year, for the first time in 26 years, I could see my son. I could see all 3 of my grandchildren. If you don't believe that a relationship with Jesus Christ will get you out of the hole you're in right now, you better listen to